Welcome to this Black Hat Fast Chat. I'm Terry Sweeney, contributing editor with Black Hat, and I'm joined now by Lori Smith, product marketing at Trend Micro. Lori, we're here today to talk about extended detection and response, or XDR, a very hot topic. Welcome to this Fast Chat today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So as we said, this is a very hot technology in the security space right now. It's a new and evolving space, which can mean both market excitement and also confusion. Let's start by just with some definitions. Tell us how you define XDR.
Yeah, you're right. It is a hot topic, and many people are talking about it. And you know, us marketing folks, we like our terms, but really, there can be a lot of substance behind XDR, and I do believe that you know, real XDR does represent a positive and productive evolution in this space. And so XDR is really now considered an industry term and often defined as extended detection and response. And so really it's largely about extending detection and response capabilities and processes past a single vector. And mostly that, you know, starts with endpoint. We've seen a lot of traction on endpoint detection and response, and this is really about the next step in that and applying the XDR type capabilities to other important security layers, whether that be email or network or cloud.
I see. Okay. So from what you're describing, and I'm sure you've gotten this question before, but it sounds like this is very similar to security information and event management, or SIEM. For those who are sitting with that question, do you think XDR is a SIEM alternative or something that complements it nicely side by side?
Yeah, and we do get that a lot. It's, you know, why can't I do this with my SIEM, or this sounds like SIEM? But for a company that is using a SIEM solution, XDR does not have to be a replacement. And in fact, it can augment and enhance the use and the effectiveness of a SIEM in an organization. So SIEMs are great, as we know, at aggregating logs and creating sort of central visibility to security information. But while great at visibility, not necessarily great at insight. And so, you know, it's not necessarily as effective at identifying and correlating multiple alerts as related to the same incident. And so, so analysts still have difficulties sort of triaging everything that comes into the SIEM to connect the pieces, provide that context. And that's where XDR comes in, right? It can help security analysts understand what matters most and then identify the core events, and then ultimately do a deeper investigation and response. And that's really the foundation of XDR, is that correlation, right? Taking some piecemeal, you know, sort of fragments of malicious activity and tying it together to understand a full attack path.
Okay, so SIEM, while sophisticated and comprehensive, doesn't have the intelligence or perhaps the sophistication that XDR has. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. And it's really, you know, when a security analyst or a SOC analyst, you know, is faced sort of this abundance of alerts from the SIEM, you know, they struggle to sort of quickly and effectively weed through the noise to find the critical events. And that's where XDR comes in, is sort of, you know, to correlate multiple low confidence activities and alerts, and, you know, when coupled with other information, identify the malicious activity, which, you know, so does that work for the analyst rather than trying to, you know, to piece it together themselves.
What security layers or integration points do you think are most important where XDR is concerned? I'm just curious where you think companies might be able to start and expand if they're looking at the XDR concept.
Yeah, and as we talked about, most people are, start from the endpoint. We've seen a lot of adoption of endpoint detection and response, and so clearly, EDR has provided tremendous value. But despite the depth of capability, really, it still just looks at managed endpoints, and so that limits the scope of what they can detect, and limits the view of who and what else is affected. And so sort of that's the motivation to go beyond the endpoint. Where we're finding a natural next step is email. Given that's the #1 attack vector, I don't know, it's 90+% of breaches start with email. It's a priority. I would say a priority expansion point for detection and response, right? Because email threats don't often impact the endpoint until a user does something, clicks on a link, or opens a attachment. And so there are plenty of sort of undetonated malicious emails that could be sitting in people's inboxes undetected. And so being able to take an endpoint detection and tie it to the originating email, then be able to search all the inboxes to see if that resides in any other inboxes, quarantine that, removes the threat and stop the spread, extremely valuable. So that's one area. Obviously network too, network and email, that's also a natural connection, because while EDR can look at managed endpoints, plenty of endpoints aren't managed. We've got IoT, we've got unmanaged devices like contractors, so that networking endpoint is also important. And then I would say cloud and server workloads, critical to the operations, must have a detection and response capability. So something that's very deliberate and specific to servers and these new cloud models is also important. And really, it's the more sources, the more opportunity for correlated detection and investigation and response.
Thanks for that. To wrap us up, how does an XDR approach make the security analyst job easier?
Yeah, so I'm not so naive to think a security analyst job is ever going to be easy. I'm blown away on a daily basis of what this role does and can do. But I do think that XDR can ease pieces of the role, and can sort of create added value to the contributions that security analysts can make. And so what we're seeing is that security teams don't want to, or simply can't, hire the security analysts that they need, and so they're looking for ways to optimize the existing staff's capabilities. And so that's all about streamlining workflows, removing or eliminating or speeding up manual steps, enabling better analysis. And that's what XDR does, right? It takes like a SOC 1 analyst and facilitates their ability to more easily and confidently determine what's important and needs attention and escalating, and likewise takes a SOC 2 or 3 analysts, and where they're responsible for the investigation and resolving incidents. It can simplify their work in determining root cause analysis, the full execution profile of the threat, what is the spread and the impact of this complex attack, and so they can respond more quickly and more completely. So really, I believe XDR, the goal is really about maximizing the security analyst's contributions and improving the effectiveness and even the maturity of the security operations overall.
Lots of food for thought for enterprise security management. Lori, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, it's been fun, I appreciate it.
We've been talking with Lori Smith of Trend Micro. This has been Terry Sweeney for Black Hat. Thank you for joining us today for this Black Hat Fast Chat.